Good afternoon. It is April 6th. It's actually evening time, 6:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is Quake weather, and we do live forecasting with science-based tools and satellite data that anybody can access anywhere that has internet access. I'm going to first start with the forecast because we do have a watch period that began today. Could have technically have began yesterday or the day before, but the biggest part of this coronal hole is incoming towards Earth. So we're going to go over that real quick so you guys can get your forecast and then go about your day if you'd like. And then we're going to do our typical gloating over all the forecasts that we got right with our last forecast. So let's just get into it. So I should probably start just putting up epileptic seizure warnings for the movies that I generate off the Solar Dynamics Observatory. So this is the sun in the past 24 hours in 211 extremes. And as you could see, there's this coronal hole up here that's turning away. This one is center disk, and then this one right behind it. I believe these are kind of all, or at least these two, we'll figure that out right now. But this is turning into face Earth. If this one's affecting Earth, it has already started affecting Earth as of probably today. The forces from these are going to be seen in the next couple days. So from now until the middle of the week, I think sometime around the middle of the week is when it'll peak and then hopefully wane down, but we'll have to see what is behind all these holes. But we're going to go over all that. So this is the coronal hole we're looking at, last 24 hours. We go over here to the potential field source surface model, and we can see that it is of negative polarity, which is typically stronger in force than the green positive polarity if don't have any in any recent views here. But as you can see, the biggest part of this model has already turned away, and that wasn't really showing right here. Can't really see it too well, but it was big. It's not too dark, so probably not too powerful. And again, this is model. They model these based on data, so this isn't like an actual live reading from a satellite, just in case anybody's curious. So we know it's of negative polarity. It's an extension of the northern solar polar field this time. So if we go over here to the mean sea level pressure wind map, and what can we find? Still tiny bit of low pressure cell activity and stuff hovering around Papua New Guinea, which is where we had another successful forecast with I believe the last live stream we did. Not too much low pressure cell activity over here, at least in the Southwest Pacific, where we normally see a lot. So, but coming over here, might come back to this later. I want to focus more on here for now. Let's look up at Europe. Yeah, okay, let's focus on these two areas. I'm going to have to go over to USGS to get an idea of where exactly this is, but this is just west of India. So this low pressure cell area, let's make a mental note of that. Let's get to the daily OLR anomaly. And that's the 30-day average. Let's do the daily. There we go. And let's expand this. I'm going to start trying to get these all expanded and ready to go before live streams. Anyways, thinking out loud, sorry. What do we see here? We see this deep dark red area, but it's in the middle of the ocean and nobody cares. So let's look over here. That's where Papua New Guinea. Let's see what the date is on this. Yes, from the 5th. Yep. So if we look over here, maybe not too concerning about this as far as the daily OLR anomaly. I'm actually not seeing anything too concerning. All these main powerful areas are pretty far away. Wherever we do see powerful areas, we want to look for areas near plate boundaries that actually have low pressure cells near them as well. So maybe if this moves over, we could see something in like southern Mexico, maybe Central America. We also, sometimes I feel like this isn't something I've documented. I probably should start doing this going forward, but when we see magnetic complexity, in other words, like when we see like this area right here, like we see this negative and then positive and then negative, similar to like sunspots. If you ever look at like sunspots on the sun, that's what creates those solar flares and coronal mass ejections, is when you have magnetic complexity. You have these opposing magnetic forces and they're moving around each other, and you could see the umbra and the penumbra on certain satellites, and you can see where the sunspots are and where you're likely to see solar flares and coronal mass ejections. Anyways, it's kind of like a similar visual representation. Sometimes I look at these OLR anomalies and I'll see unusual increase in seismic activity where there's magnetic mixing, magnetic complexity. And again, if we minimize this so I could just show you real quick, that's the 7 days. See, this is negative, is red that goes all the way up to white, and then white going into brown is the positive. So when we see, sometimes when I see magnetic mixing like this near plate boundaries, it seems like there might be some energy transfer possibly going on in the lithosphere down there. Because remember, this is outgoing long wave radiation that's emanating upward from the Earth's core, or sorry, not the Earth's core, the Earth's lithosphere. So, anyways, don't want to spend too much time there. We'll look at this area again. We find out where these countries are real quick. So let's go here, and yeah, let's get the forecast out of the way first. So if we look down here, not seeing any activity here yet, right? So that's just east of India right there. If we switch to the, let's do street, that way we could see what countries we're looking at here. So let's go back over here, right there, right? And if we can correlate maybe the Pakistan area, right? So Pakistan, maybe look again, or maybe over to Iran, but mostly Pakistan and a little bit of Iran. Not seeing any pre-seismic signals themselves, but low pressure cell coronal hole turning in. Might keep an eye on this area right here. I'd put them at a medium risk. Now this is, I'm gonna have to go look here. So if we go up here to Europe, so so yeah, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan. I would say Kazakhstan, they do get earthquakes sometimes, and then it was coming over here into, wow, actually Ukraine. I don't think Ukraine has enough problems. I think they could use an earthquake. I'm being 100% sarcastic, by the way. So let's look over here. Yeah, I'm looking at Ukraine area maybe. There's not too many plate boundaries up there, so hopefully nothing major, but because they don't get, earthquakes too often, I don't know. We'll see. That's where the low pressure cells are right now. I'd keep a closer eye on where the low pressure cells are, like I said, towards the middle of the week when we start actually getting the forces from this coronal hole. It's barely turning into face Earth. The strength of this coronal hole is considerably stronger than what this one was and that one was. But we're currently getting all the charged particles from these, are hitting all the Earth's atmospheric layers as we speak. So these are going to be coming in hot right behind it. So I would start, I'm probably going to do another live stream, let's say Tuesday. Tomorrow might be a little too soon. Maybe tomorrow night or Tuesday I'll do another live stream so we can follow up here, see where these low pressure cells are, and which new ones have formed, because I'm not seeing anything aside from Alaska, but they have these up here so often. They're not as reliable. We definitely got this area right here around central Mexico, as I mentioned, and the usual suspects. I mean, it's just that not a lot of low pressure cell activity near plate boundaries, except for this area right here. This isn't near plate boundaries. This kind of is, and I would. Right now, I'd put Pakistan on the highest watch, which is odd. And again, this could all change, so take with a grain of salt. We're not getting the forces from the strongest part of this extension of the northern solar polar field yet. So, yeah, I'll follow up in a couple days. Relatively short forecast. We are entering a watch period. I do want to keep an eye on things, but oddly enough, I mean, I could usually come up with 2 or 3 areas to look at. I'm thinking maybe like, if we really start getting granular and looking at smaller events here, the U.S. West Coast. So we're seeing a little higher than usual magnitude for us in California. This is, let me close this. Sorry for doing this. This is like the only ones I want to look at are California, so I keep it on screen by doing that. That's just a quick way to do it. So Cobb, Ferndale, and then when we get those Ferndale quakes, they're usually out in the ocean. So I wouldn't put too much. That is a concern, especially because you have a double fault line right there. So I have my eye on California, a little more the northern part of California than the southern part of California, for all my people in Southern California. But we're entering a watch period, so got to keep an eye on things, because these things are all going to change in the next day or two, and the location of where these events are most likely to occur is going to change between now and when we get the peak forces from the coronal hole. So let me zoom out. So that's about it for the forecast. I'm going to have to pick up and do another live stream because there's not a lot of data pointing to anything right now. That doesn't mean there's not going to be a major one somewhere. There are large quakes that escape our radar here at Quake Weather. More often than not, we do catch the big ones, 6 magnitude or higher, but sometimes real big ones escape us. So we're going to do the best we can, and like I said, this is all going to change in a couple days. Now, if we go back to USGS here, we did call out Papua New Guinea on the last live stream, which was several days ago, actually. And I think, I mentioned it in the last live forecast, if anybody wants to go back and look. So let me bring up the 7-day, 4.5 magnitude higher, and there it is, 6.9. That was the one. So we called out after we were getting this cluster here, and we did, again, that 7-pointer that occurred in Tonga. It was more than a week ago now, so it's not showing up, but that was absolutely 100% a successful forecast from here. I believe I put Tonga on the highest alert, and we did get a 7.7 there. And then I did put Papua New Guinea on the follow-up forecast when we went over this Tonga forecast. I had a live stream going over that successful hit right there, and as we did, I did mention that this area, Papua New Guinea right here, was looking kind of primed for something big, and they got it. So it was another successful forecast. I could have put actually no, this is a Pacific Antarctic ridge, so that's an interesting one. Maybe if I see a high risk, or even, I don't know about high risk, but if I see an area where it looks like there's going to be an earthquake and it's literally like 5,000 miles away from any sign of any civilization, I'll usually just forego it and not say anything. We do get them in the mid-Atlantic ridge, which is a little more significant, but again, these are like really far away. So I don't tend to pay attention to these unless, of course, they're right here in this area, because that's an important area. And then Iceland, of course, they have a volcano there as well. So that was the successful forecast. I'll have another live stream in a couple days, and we'll do a follow-up on these coronal holes, and we'll go over all this data again to see where we're at, see where if we could pinpoint some locations and find out where the highest risk areas for magnitude 6 higher are. So thanks for joining. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I'd be more than happy to answer them for you guys. Quake Weather out.